Did you know your blood sugar problem is not about eating too much sugar or the wrong foods? The real issue hiding inside your body is something most doctors never explain in a short office visit. Your cells have stopped listening to insulin, and that silence is what keeps your blood sugar dangerously high. Insulin is the hormone that knocks on your cell door and says, "Let the glucose inside where it belongs." But when you have spent years on the blood sugar roller coaster, your cells simply stop answering that knock. Your pancreas panics and pumps out more and more insulin, trying desperately to get those stubborn cell doors open. The blood sugar keeps climbing anyway, and the standard answer handed to you is always another prescription medication. That prescription pushes more insulin into a system already drowning in it, and the root problem never actually gets fixed. Nobody in that 12-minute office visit has time to tell you that food talks directly to your insulin receptors. The truth is, you do not need to cut out carbohydrates entirely to bring your blood sugar back down. The fastest and most sustainable way to fix your numbers is actually about adding the right foods, not removing them. I have watched hundreds of real patients turn their blood sugar around in just days by adding these specific foods. And the most powerful part is they kept their numbers low without medication for months and even full years afterward. Every single food I am about to share with you does one of three very important jobs inside your body. It either slows the sugar coming in or cools the inflammation that keeps your cells completely deaf to insulin signals. Or it wakes the insulin receptor back up so your own brilliant body can finally do the work it was designed for. You do not have to add all of these tomorrow. Just stack them in slowly over the next couple of weeks. The first food on this list is fenugreek seeds, and most people walk right past them without ever giving them a second thought. These are small, hard, amber-colored seeds sitting quietly in the spice aisle of almost every grocery store for just a couple dollars. Inside these tiny seeds lives a powerful soluble fiber called galactomannan, and it changes everything about how your body handles sugar. When galactomannan hits the water in your stomach, it swells into a thick, protective gel that coats your digestive system completely. That gel physically slows how fast your stomach empties carbohydrates into your small intestine after every single meal you eat. Slower emptying means the sugar trickles gently into your blood instead of flooding it all at once like a broken dam. No flood means no giant spike and no panic dump of insulin that leaves you exhausted, shaky, and craving more food. Fenugreek also carries a specific amino acid that nudges your pancreas to release insulin more efficiently throughout the entire day. To use it, soak 1 teaspoon of whole seeds in a glass of water overnight and drink it before breakfast. If the slightly bitter taste bothers you, grind them fine and stir half a teaspoon into your morning yogurt or eggs. The second food is cinnamon, and you almost certainly have some sitting unused right now in your kitchen cupboard at home. But the type you have almost certainly matters, and most people are unknowingly grabbing the completely wrong kind every single time. The common grocery store cinnamon is cassia, and it carries a compound called coumarin that is genuinely hard on your liver daily. The one you want is Ceylon cinnamon, sometimes labeled true cinnamon, and it is the only kind safe for daily use. Ceylon cinnamon contains a group of natural plant compounds called polyphenols that behave almost exactly like insulin inside your body. These polyphenols help your insulin receptors grip glucose more tightly and slow your stomach from emptying too fast after meals. Research from the Human Nutrition Program at the USDA found that under half a teaspoon daily meaningfully lowered fasting glucose levels. Use 1/4 to half a teaspoon of Ceylon cinnamon stirred into your coffee, oatmeal, or a morning smoothie every single day. Always pair it with a carbohydrate meal, because that is exactly the moment when you want those receptors working their absolute hardest. The third food is broccoli sprouts. And I need you to pay very close attention here, because this one changes everything completely. Not full-grown broccoli, but the tiny 3-day-old sprouts, because they contain something the full vegetable can almost never match. Broccoli sprouts are loaded with a compound called sulforaphane, and they carry between 50 and 100 times more of it. Sulforaphane does something none of the other foods on this entire list can do, quite as directly or as powerfully as this. It travels straight to your liver and quietly shuts down the overnight glucose factory your liver runs while you are sleeping peacefully. Your liver makes sugar while you sleep, and when you have insulin resistance, it makes dangerously too much of it every night. A landmark 2017 study gave concentrated sulforaphane to people with type 2 diabetes and brought their fasting blood sugar down measurably fast. The strongest effect happened in exactly the people whose fasting numbers were the hardest and most stubborn to bring under control. You can grow broccoli sprouts right on your kitchen counter in a glass jar for almost no money at all. A small handful, which is about a quarter cup on a salad or sandwich most days, is completely enough to work. Never cook them hard because high heat destroys the active sulforaphane compound that makes these tiny sprouts so extraordinarily powerful. The fourth food is avocado, and most people are still afraid of it because someone told them the fat would make them gain weight. That fear is quietly and consistently costing them one of the most blood sugar-friendly foods available anywhere on the planet. The fat inside an avocado is monounsaturated fat, the same beautiful, healthy family as olive oil, and it works powerfully for you. That fat, combined with the rich fiber inside the avocado, slows your entire meal down in the most beneficial way possible. When you add half an avocado to a plate of rice or toast, you are not removing the carbohydrate from the meal. You are putting a gentle, intelligent brake on how fast that carbohydrate converts into blood sugar rushing through your veins. The glucose climbs slowly and gently instead of spiking sharply, and monounsaturated fat has been shown to improve insulin sensitivity meaningfully. Half an avocado placed on your eggs in the morning or mashed onto whole grain toast is a perfect daily habit. Anywhere you have a carbohydrate on your plate, adding avocado softens and slows the blood sugar blow every single time. The fifth food is chia seeds, and these tiny gray and black seeds punch so far above their small size, it is remarkable. If you have ever watched chia sit in liquid and slowly turn into a thick pudding, you have already seen exactly how it works. Chia is one of the richest sources of soluble fiber available anywhere, and it forms that same protective gel in your gut. That gel wraps completely around the carbohydrates in your meal and slows their absorption down to a gentle, steady, and controlled crawl. The sugar releases slowly and evenly, which means you completely avoid the sharp spike and the miserable crash that follows every time. Chia also carries a plant-based omega-3 fat that works to calm the low-grade inflammation sitting quietly under your insulin resistance. Cool that inflammation, and your cells slowly begin listening to insulin signals again, the way they were originally designed to do. 1 to 2 tablespoons stirred into yogurt, dropped in lemon water, or blended into your morning smoothie is all you need daily. The sixth food is fatty fish, and specifically salmon and mackerel, because this one attacks the deeper root cause underneath everything else. Insulin resistance is driven in very large part by chronic, low-grade inflammation sitting silently and invisibly inside your body for years. That inflammation physically interferes with the insulin signal at the surface of your cell and blocks the message from ever getting through. Salmon and mackerel are loaded with 2 omega-3 fats called EPA and DHA, which are among the most powerful natural anti-inflammatories known. These fats lower the inflammatory signals your cell membrane gets healthier, and your insulin receptor begins working the way it was meant to. 2 palm-sized servings of wild salmon, mackerel, sardines, or herring each week consistently produces calmer and more stable blood sugar numbers. Buy it fresh, grill it, bake it, or reach for canned mackerel and sardines, which are among the cheapest, most powerful foods available. The seventh food is walnuts. And of all the nuts available, this is the single one I point my patients toward absolutely first. Walnuts are rich in polyunsaturated fat, and the same plant omega-3 found in chia seeds that reduces destructive chronic inflammation. That fat improves the function of your endothelium, which is the thin, delicate lining inside your blood vessels that high sugar slowly destroys. The fat, fiber, and protein working together in walnuts blunt the rise in blood sugar after every meal you eat throughout the day. They also lower fasting insulin, which is the number underneath your blood sugar that reveals exactly how hard your pancreas is straining. A small handful, which is about a quarter cup or 7 to 10 whole walnuts kept raw or dry roasted, does the job. Use them to replace a processed snack, not to add on top of one, because replacing is where the real power lives. The eighth food is whole eggs with the yolk fully included. And I want to clear up a damaging lie told for decades. For years, people were told the yolk was the enemy, and that bad advice pushed millions toward sugary cereals that were far worse. A whole egg is almost pure protein and fat, with virtually zero carbohydrates, which means it barely moves your blood sugar at all. But the real extraordinary power is what researchers call the second meal effect, which extends your blood sugar stability all the way to lunch. When you start your morning with eggs instead of toast or cereal, you walk into every meal after with calmer, steadier numbers. The protein and fat keep you completely full, so the mid-morning cravings that send you toward the cookie jar quietly disappear forever. 2 or 3 whole eggs, scrambled, boiled, or folded with spinach in the morning with avocado on top, creates a near-perfect blood sugar breakfast. The ninth food is apple cider vinegar, and this is the one with the fastest and most visible effect you will ever see on a glucose meter. The active ingredient is acetic acid, and it does 2 remarkable things simultaneously that most blood sugar medications cannot match in speed. It slows your stomach from emptying, so carbohydrates arrive in your bloodstream gradually, and it helps your muscles pull glucose out and use it for fuel. Research led by Dr. Carol Johnston at Arizona State University found that 1 tablespoon before a carbohydrate meal lowered the after-meal spike by 20 to 30%. That is a drug-sized effect from something that costs just a couple of dollars and sits right on your grocery store shelf. Take 1 tablespoon diluted in a full glass of water 10 to 15 minutes before any meal that contains significant carbohydrates today. Never drink it straight, because the acid is genuinely hard on both your tooth enamel and the delicate lining of your throat. If you are already on blood sugar medication, talk to your doctor first, because this combination can lower your sugar faster than expected. The 10th and final food is lentils. And this one single-handedly proves the entire point and premise of everything shared in this video. Lentils are a carbohydrate, and they will consistently lower your blood sugar, which sounds impossible until you understand exactly what is happening inside. Lentils are built from a slow carbohydrate called resistant starch, wrapped in soluble fiber, with a healthy and satisfying dose of plant protein. That combination means glucose from the lentil releases into your blood slowly and steadily over several hours, instead of all at once. Lentils also carry that same powerful second meal effect, meaning a bowl of lentil soup at lunch gives you steadier numbers all evening. Swapping white rice or white potato for lentils just a few times each week is one of the most reliable ways to bring down your A1C. Now let me tell you about a patient I will call Maria, who came to me frightened and completely out of hope at 61 years old. Her fasting sugar was sitting dangerously around 180, and her doctor had just recommended adding a second blood sugar medication immediately. She did not want to spend the rest of her life climbing the medication ladder, and she had watched her mother lose her eyesight to this disease. We did not cut her carbohydrates to nothing. Instead, we added eggs and avocado in the morning and vinegar before her bigger meals each day. We swapped in lentils for white rice, added walnuts to replace her afternoon cookie, and put fatty fish on the menu twice a week. We stirred Ceylon cinnamon into her coffee every morning and added broccoli sprouts to her sandwich at lunch, and the results were extraordinary. Within the very first week, her fasting numbers began dropping, and her energy and mood both quietly began improving at the same time. Within 3 months, working closely alongside her own doctor, she had come off that second medication, and her A1C had moved back toward normal range. 2 full years later, those numbers are still holding beautifully. And she did it without starving herself or giving up the foods she loved. She simply added the right foods, and her own intelligent body did the rest of the extraordinary healing work all by itself. Every single one of these 10 foods is giving your insulin its job back without punishing you or making your life miserable in any way. The fiber foods slow the glucose down so your pancreas never has to panic and flood your system with desperate amounts of insulin. The fish, walnuts, and chia seeds cool the inflammation that was physically jamming the insulin signal at the surface of your cells. The cinnamon and the vinegar walk right up to the insulin receptor and help it grip and respond the way it always should have. Do that meal after meal, day after day, and the cell that stopped answering the door slowly starts opening it on the very first knock. That is what reversing insulin resistance on a cellular level actually means, and once it happens, your body holds your sugar down on its own, naturally. One critical warning before you take your next step tonight. If you are on insulin or a sulfonylurea, these foods work powerfully and fast. They can lower your sugar quickly enough that your current medication dose may suddenly become too high and push you into dangerous low blood sugar. Add these foods with your doctor actively watching your numbers, and let them walk your dose down safely as your body improves and heals. Never stop any prescription medication on your own, but absolutely bring this list to your very next appointment and have that important conversation. Here is your simple action plan starting tonight, because waiting is the one thing that costs you more than anything else ever could. Tomorrow morning, replace your cereal or toast with 2 or 3 whole eggs and half a ripe avocado on top of them. Tonight, soak 1 teaspoon of fenugreek seeds in a full glass of water and drink it first thing tomorrow before breakfast. Buy Ceylon cinnamon this week, not cassia, and start a 1/4 teaspoon every single morning in your coffee, oatmeal, or smoothie. Before your biggest carbohydrate meal tomorrow, take 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar diluted in a full glass of water 15 minutes ahead. This week, swap white rice or white potato for lentils at least twice, and put fatty fish on your dinner menu 2 nights. Stack these in steadily over the next 2 weeks, and you are not removing the foods you love, you are protecting yourself with the right ones. Your body already knows how to heal itself, and every one of these foods is simply handing it back the tools it has always needed.